The silent breach, the great council of Orath, was a chamber of cold stone, echoing with whispers from dozens of alien species. Their eyes glowed with suspicion as news spread across the hall. Earth had risen in whispers, a small blue world that most had ignored for centuries, but now something strange was happening. One commander from the Vecran species stepped forward. His thin body shivering, he spoke in a low voice. "We have hacked into their hidden database." His words rolled across the chamber like thunder. Silence fell. The others leaned closer, expecting to hear of weakness, expecting to hear of primitive knowledge. The commander pressed a claw against the console and the first images flickered into the air. Records of human wars filled the chamber. Wars that stretched across centuries. Wars that crushed cities but could not crush the human will. The council watched in disbelief. How can a species survive this? One elder from the tall Inari asked, her long fingers trembling. How can a world of such violence still live? The Vecran commander did not answer. He played more of the human history. Every file they opened revealed chaos and fire. But within that fire, humans only grew stronger. The aliens had expected fear, but they saw resilience. They had expected despair, but they saw unity. An old senator from the Torek leaned forward, his scales glittering in the dim light. They fight against each other, yet they never vanish, he whispered. It is as if war is their teacher. The chamber filled with quiet shock. No one spoke loudly. It was as if fear itself held their throats. Then came the turning point. The data showed human inventions, weapons built not only to kill but to survive. Crude tools forged into machines of destruction, fire harnessed into power, the wheel turned into engines, the sword replaced by guns, the gun replaced by missiles, the missiles replaced by weapons that could burn the sky itself. One young alien nearly screamed, "They destroy their own world, yet they still endure." "No," corrected the Vecran commander, his voice dark and heavy. "They do not endure. They thrive." The images rolled on. The aliens saw humans climbing mountains of ash, rebuilding cities from dust, refusing to surrender even when surrounded. The council members began to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Their species had always feared extinction, but humans seemed to rise from extinction again and again. Suddenly the screen shifted. It was not only wars, it was survival. Humans had lived through freezing ice, burning deserts, endless storms, even poison seas. No other species in the council could survive such trials. Yet humans had walked through them as if fate itself dared them to fall. An Inari priestess whispered, "They are forged by suffering. They are not weak as we believed." The Vecran commander nodded. "And this is only the beginning." He revealed deeper files. Encrypted logs that humans had tried to lock away. Inside were records of experiments, new machines, new ships, plans for battles beyond their skies. The aliens stared in terror. Humans had been preparing not just for Earth, but for the stars. A long silence followed, broken only by the soft hum of the council chamber. Every alien felt the same cold truth settling in their bones. "They are not like us," the Torek senator muttered. "Our species fear pain, they use it. Our species fear loss. They turn it into strength. Our species fear death. They walk through it." The chamber dimmed as the database scrolled to its last file, a human voice recording, crackling with age but powerful and calm. "We are the children of struggle. We are the heirs of fire. Whoever dares to test us will remember our name." The aliens froze, their hearts thundering. The words had not been spoken to them, but it felt as if humanity had always known someone would listen. Someone would hack, someone would discover. The silence stretched heavier than stone. Finally, the leader of the council, an ancient creature older than most stars, raised his wrinkled hand and whispered, "Close it. Close the file now." But even after the screen went dark, the fear remained. Their minds replayed the images, the words, the unbroken spirit of humans. The Vecran commander lowered his head. "We thought Earth was small," he said, his voice broken. "But Earth is a storm, and storms cannot be caged." The council chamber quaked with unspoken dread, and in that moment, for the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled, not because of a war already begun, but because of one that might one day arrive. And in the shadows of the chamber, a single thought whispered across alien minds, a thought that none dared to speak aloud. What happens when the humans finally come for us? Records of fire. The alien council chamber remained heavy with silence, but curiosity is stronger than fear, even when fear is deep. Despite the leader's warning, more files from Earth's database opened, glowing across the air like forbidden flames. The first record showed vast armies marching across burning fields, men and women carrying weapons older than most empires in the galaxy. Swords of iron, shields of bronze, spears tipped with fire. Humans fought against humans. Endless wars that shaped their history. They wage war even on their own kind, gasped a frail diplomat from the Keelan race, his pale skin quivering. Such madness should have ended them. But the madness had not ended them. It had forged them. The aliens watched as humans created empires, destroyed them, and then built new ones stronger than before. Every fall was followed by a rise, every wound became a scar, every scar became a story. One elder whispered, "We fear one war in 1,000 years." They lived through 1,000 wars in a single lifetime. Then the files changed. They showed fire raining from the sky, machines flying, weapons exploding with thunder. Alien eyes widened at the sight of mushroom clouds rising over cities, weapons powerful enough to erase whole nations. A Torek senator hissed, "They killed millions of their own. Why are they still alive?" The veteran commander answered, "Because they are not like us. They learn even when their world burns." The council watched humans crawling out of ruins, rebuilding with trembling hands, feeding the weak, standing together when survival seemed impossible. Cities destroyed in flames were rebuilt in stone, then steel, then glass, then light. "They never stop," muttered the Inari priestess, her voice almost like prayer. "They never stop climbing. Even when the mountain is fire," another file opened, this time showing explorers sailing across oceans in fragile wooden ships. Storms crashed, waves swallowed them whole, yet survivors returned with maps and stories. Humans were not only fighters, they were seekers. They wanted to know what lay beyond every horizon, and the aliens realized a chilling truth. War had not broken humans. It had armed them. Curiosity had not killed them. It had driven them. Suffering had not ended them. It had prepared them. Suddenly the screen flickered again, this time revealing secret projects. The first rockets rising into space, their flames piercing the sky. Fragile machines carrying humans beyond their world. The Keelan diplomat trembled. They fought endless wars, and yet they reached the stars. How? The answer was clear. Humans did not wait for peace to move forward. They carried their struggle with them. Their science was born from hunger, their medicine from pain, their ships from fear of death. The files revealed names of great wars on Earth. Battles fought not only for land, but for freedom, for ideas, for survival itself. And with each war came inventions, stronger weapons, stronger shields, stronger minds, the Torek senator whispered. They turn every wound into a weapon. And then came the darkest revelation. Hidden among the files were simulations. Human war games designed not for the past, but for the future. They practiced wars they had not yet fought. They prepared for enemies they had not yet met. The veteran commander's voice was low. "Do you see now? Their wars were not only history, they were training." Fear spread across the chamber. Claws tightened. Scales rattled, wings folded. Even predator species known for their cruelty felt a chill. Because in every war, humans had grown stronger. And if wars had prepared them for the stars, then what enemy could possibly defeat them when they finally spread across the galaxy? The Inari priestess looked around the hall, her eyes wide with dread. "This is why we must fear them. They do not need peace to become powerful. Their fire is their teacher." A heavy silence fell again. The council knew the truth. They were no longer studying a fragile species. They were studying a storm, and storms only grow when the fire feeds them. The hidden weapons. The council chamber was filled with dread, yet the files kept opening. The veteran commander could not stop. His claws tapped against the console, unlocking the next sequence of human data. This time it was not history, it was secrecy. Projects buried under codes and shadows. The air grew heavy as the chamber filled with images of machines unlike anything the aliens had seen. Metal giants stood in hidden hangars, their armor thick, their weapons glowing with energy, designs that should not have existed on a primitive world. "What are these?" the Keelan diplomat whispered, his voice trembling. The veteran commander answered with a hollow tone. "Prototypes, weapons of Earth kept hidden even from their own people." The aliens stared at the blueprints glowing in the air, missiles that could reach across planets, engines that could pierce the void, drones that could fight without fear, ships built not for trade but for war. They were never only protecting themselves, the Torek senator muttered. "They were preparing for us." The next file cracked open, showing experiments with artificial intelligence, machines designed to think, to learn, to kill faster than humans could command. Alien throats tightened with fear, for even their empires had failed to tame such power. But humans had not stopped. They kept building, testing, risking destruction, And then came the most chilling part. A map appeared, a star chart, glowing red with markers scattered far beyond Earth's borders. The Inari priestess gasped, "Those are not their lands. Those are ours." The Vecran commander's claws shook as he confirmed, "Yes, they marked sectors of the galaxy they have never reached. But they planned for them. They studied them. They prepared for them." It became clear that humans were not blind wanderers of space. They were watchers. They had been studying the stars long before the stars ever noticed them. Another file opened, this one encrypted more deeply, but the Council's tools forced it wide. Inside was a voice log, not from generals, not from soldiers, but from scientists. "Our world is only one battlefield," the voice said. "The real war will not be fought here. It will be fought in the void, and we must be ready." A cold silence fell. Aliens looked at one another with dread. Even their greatest empires had not spoken of war on that scale, but humans had whispered of it in their laboratories. Suddenly the data shifted again, showing moving images, simulations of massive ships, titans of steel armed with weapons that could split moons. The aliens gasped as one simulation ended with a human ship standing alone against an entire alien fleet. And winning. The Tauric senator rose from his seat, his scales rattling. "This is not preparation, this is prophecy. They believe they are destined to fight us." But the most terrifying file came last, a single phrase written in hundreds of human languages, glowing across the chamber like fire. "If the stars bring enemies, we will bring war." The words echoed in the minds of every alien. Their blood chilled, their hearts pounded, because the truth was clear. Humans had not built weapons for defense alone. They had built them for the future. A future where enemies among the stars would test them. A future where war would not end on Earth, but spread across the galaxy. And in that silent chamber, the galaxy's greatest rulers felt smaller than ever before. They had believed humanity was young, weak, unprepared, but the database revealed a predator in waiting, a species that had trained in fire, forged weapons in secret, and dreamed of battles among the stars. The Vecran commander closed the file with shaking claws, but the damage was done. The Council now knew the truth. Earth was not only a world, it was an armory, and the armory was opening. Humanity's strange mind. The Council chamber should have been empty by now. The leaders should have closed the database, sealed it away, and buried their fear in silence, but they did not. Curiosity pulled them deeper, and curiosity was now their curse. The Vecran commander unlocked another hidden layer of files. These were not about weapons, not about machines. They were about minds. Human minds. Psychological studies filled the air. Reports written by humans about themselves. Aliens leaned forward, their bodies tense. "What they read was worse than weapons. Look," whispered the Inari priestess, pointing at the glowing text. "They suffer trauma. Yet instead of breaking, they change." The aliens saw records of soldiers returning from war, broken in body but stronger in spirit. They saw stories of families who lost everything yet rose again. They saw humans who turned grief into songs, pain into invention, loss into courage. "Impossible," hissed the Tauric senator. "Pain destroys. It cannot create," but the files proved otherwise. Humans seemed to grow sharper when pushed to the edge. Their minds found hope in despair, unity in tragedy, victory in survival. A Keelan diplomat shook his head. "We hide from our nightmares. They hunt theirs." Another file opened, filled with human legends, tales of warriors who rose from nothing, leaders who came from suffering, ordinary people who became symbols of strength. The aliens could not understand it. Their own species feared weakness, but humans embraced it, turned it into power. Suddenly, a voice log played, a human psychologist speaking with calm certainty. "The mind of a human is not designed for comfort. It is designed for challenge. Without struggle, we fade. With struggle, we evolve." The words stabbed through the chamber, more dangerous than any blade. The Vecran commander explained with a shaking voice. "They do not only fight enemies, they fight themselves. And in that fight they grow." The next records revealed something even more chilling. Files of experiments where humans studied alien biology long before true contact. "What is this?" gasped the Inari priestess. How could they know? The data showed humans dissecting strange remains from fallen meteors, analyzing unknown particles, preparing medicines and weapons against threats they had never seen. They were ready before the galaxy had even shown itself. The Tauric senator whispered. They were watching the stars long before the stars watched them. Another simulation appeared, not of weapons but of minds under pressure. Human soldiers trapped in hopeless scenarios, starving, surrounded, dying, yet finding ways to fight back. even when every law of survival said surrender was the only path. And still, the humans refused. "They are creatures of refusal," muttered the Keelan diplomat. Refusal to die, refusal to bow, refusal to end. The chamber was quiet again. Fear wrapping around every species present, because weapons could be matched, ships could be built, armies could be raised. But how could anyone fight a mind that refused to break? And then came the final file of that layer. A single sentence written by a human general long ago, glowing bright in the air. "Our greatest weapon is not steel or fire. It is the will to keep standing when all else falls." The words burned into every alien's memory. The Vecran commander shut down the console for a moment, his voice trembling. "We thought their danger was in weapons, but now I see. Their danger is in their spirit." The council chamber fell into silence, heavier than any before because the galaxy now understood the truth. Humanity's strange mind was a weapon no empire could ever disarm, and the galaxy had no defense for it. The fear spreads. The council had tried to seal the chamber. They had tried to keep the knowledge hidden, but secrets are like fire. Once sparked, they spread within days. Whispers of Earth's database leaked into the stars. Smugglers traded fragments of the stolen files. Spies carried rumors across empires. Merchants spoke in hushed tones of the human will. In the dark corners of the galaxy, predator races that once mocked humanity now hesitated. Their leaders replayed the human words over and over. "Our greatest weapon is the will to keep standing when all else falls." The sentence alone was enough to chill even the fiercest of warriors. On the desert world of Drax, warlords sat in silence as they watched simulations of human ships defeating fleets far larger than themselves. One warlord slammed his claw against the table and snarled, "If they come here, we will not survive." On the icy moons of Varan, scholars studied human psychology with trembling hands. They saw how humans turned grief into strength, loss into courage, pain into unity. One scholar whispered, "They are not like us. They are more than us." The fear was not limited to the weak. Even the most powerful empire, the Viel Dominion, paused its expansion. Their fleets halted at the border of unexplored space. Their admirals argued in secret. "If the humans are truly as the files say, we cannot afford war. Not with them." And among the smallest species, something else grew. Not fear, but hope. The oppressed races who had suffered under great empires saw in humanity a reflection of themselves, a people who rose from suffering, who refused to fall. They whispered, "If humans rise, maybe they will free us." The galaxy began to divide. Some feared humanity as a storm that would drown them. Others prayed for humanity as a shield that might protect them, but all agreed on one thing. Humanity could no longer be ignored. In hidden chambers, councils gathered in panic. What if the humans learn that we saw their secrets? What if they know we hacked them? The questions echoed across empires. No one had answers, only fear. Then, without warning, transmissions began to vanish. Fleets reported strange signals near human borders. Stations near Sol went silent. An admiral from the Veil Dominion muttered, "They know, they must know, in every capital, in every throne room, in every war chamber." The same question rose like poison. What will the humans do now? And though humanity had not spoken a single word, the silence itself became louder than thunder, because silence meant waiting, silence meant preparation, silence meant power. And in that silence, the galaxy trembled. The Tauric senator could no longer sleep. His dreams filled with visions of human fleets rising from the void. The Inari priestess prayed to gods she no longer trusted, asking them to protect her people from the storm she knew was coming. The Vecran commander who first broke the seal of the database sat alone in his quarters, his claws shaking, whispering to himself again and again, "I should never have opened it. I should never have looked, but it was too late. The fear had spread, and the galaxy could never unsee what it had seen." The human response: for weeks the galaxy drowned in whispers. Rumors spread like wildfire. Councils argued, empires panicked, and fleets hovered at the edge of human borders. None dared to move forward, none dared to retreat. They waited, trapped between curiosity and fear. Then, one night in the silent void, the waiting ended. Across every channel, across every frequency, across every empire, the same transmission appeared. No one had called for it. No one had asked for it. It simply arrived. The screen filled with static, then cleared, revealing the image of a human, not in armor, not in weapons, but standing calm, silent, and steady. The voice was low, steady, and unbroken. "We know," the human said. 3 words that froze the galaxy. The council chambers across empires shook as leaders leaned forward. Hearts racing, the human continued. We know what you saw, we know what you took. And we let you see it. The words cut like blades, the aliens gasped. The hack they thought was a secret victory had been nothing but a trap. You believe you stole from us, the human said. But we gave you what we wanted you to find. Terror rippled across the stars. Empires that once thought themselves powerful now realized they had been children playing in the shadows of a giant. The human's voice grew sharper. You saw our wars, our fire, our will. You think that is the whole of us? A pause followed, long and heavy. Then the human leaned forward, eyes burning. It is not. A silence deeper than death followed in the halls of the vile dominion. Their emperor clutched his throne with trembling hands. In the temples of the Inari, priests collapsed in prayer. In the war camps of the Drax, warriors looked at one another and saw fear for the first time. The human spoke again. We showed you scars so you may fear our wounds, but know this. Every scar is only a shadow of the storm that made it. The veteran commander who had first opened Earth's database dropped to his knees. His claws digging into the floor, he whispered. They wanted us to fear. They planned it. The transmission continued. We are not your enemy unless you choose to be. We do not seek war. But if war comes, we will not run, we will not break. We will not end. Those words echoed into every mind, burning deeper than any weapon. And then the screen faded, replaced by a single phrase written in hundreds of human languages. Fear is the beginning of respect. The message ended. But the silence after was worse than the words themselves. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's strongest rulers did not speak. They could not, their tongues heavy with dread, because they now understood. The humans had not only revealed their secrets, they had revealed their control. The galaxy thought it had been watching humans, but all along humans had been watching the galaxy, and the galaxy had no defense against eyes that never closed. The galaxy trembles after the human transmission. Silence ruled the stars. No empire dared to speak first. No fleet dared to move. No council dared to meet openly. It was as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The Veiled Dominion, once proud conquerors, canceled their campaigns. Their fleets that stretched across 10 systems suddenly pulled back. Their emperor whispered to his generals, "We cannot test them, not now, not ever." The Drax warlords, known for their cruelty, gathered in fire-lit halls, yet none raised their voices. Warriors who once roared with arrogance now sat in silence. Haunted by the thought of human ships standing against them, the Inari priestess prayed to her gods, yet in her heart she knew no prayer could change what was coming. They are not creation's children, she whispered. They are creation's fire, in every market, in every colony, in every shadowed alley. Whispers grew, whispers that became fear, fear that became belief. Humans cannot be stopped. But not all feared, some hoped. The oppressed species, the broken races enslaved by empires, listened to the human words again and again. We are not your enemy, unless you choose to be. In those words they found courage. Courage they had not felt in centuries. Secret rebellions lit across the stars, sparks of freedom born from human will. Yet even as hope spread, fear ruled stronger, because no one knew what humanity's silence meant now. Had humans revealed all? Or had they only revealed a glimpse? Were the hidden weapons their greatest strength? Or were their truths darker still? The Vikran commander who had first opened the database sat alone in his quarters, his claws shaking as he whispered into the dark. We thought we feared their weapons, we were wrong. What we truly fear is that we do not know their limits in the capital of the vile dominion. The Emperor admitted what no ruler had ever admitted before. They are the storm. We are the dust in the great council chamber of Orath, where it had all begun. Leaders sat together in silence, their faces pale, their voices gone, their pride broken. The galaxy had measured empires by ships, by armies, by gold, by power, but now they realized there was something greater, a will that could not be broken, and humanity carried that will like a torch through the void. The final file of the database, one that no alien had dared to open, flickered to life on its own. It was a single recording, a human voice calm, steady and sharp as steel. We do not seek to be feared, the voice said. We seek to be remembered. The chamber fell into silence. The voice faded, but the words remained. From that day forward, the galaxy trembled, not because humanity had attacked, not because humanity had conquered, but because humanity had shown the truth. They were no longer a world. They were a storm, and storms cannot be caged.